How about a werewolf?
Hello. Well, it's been 1 year since I made my last movie review video. Fittingly, I thought I should do another one for Halloween. Halloween's my favorite holiday, and I was originally going to do this video on The Purge 2, Anarchy, which I'll probably get to later because I do really like that movie. I think it's underappreciated, but I recently rewatched a little movie from 1985, I think. Hold on, let me reference my notes. I did not take notes on this. I probably should have done that, but yes, I was right, 1985. It's called Silver Bullet.
You know, Tammy told me she'd been hearing noises in the greenhouse. Growling noises. Father was killed that night.
It's based on a story by Stephen King, a short story called The Cycle of the Werewolf. I just want to talk about it because I watched it recently and I thought it was a really, really awesome movie. I remember seeing it when I was a kid. I remember really liking it, and I didn't remember exactly why. The only thing I remembered about it was there was a kid in a wheelchair and a priest and werewolves, and that's about it. Just flat blanket warning, this probably will contain spoilers. I can't really talk much about this movie without having spoilers. Also, I'm recording in my front yard, so if headlights sweep past me like this, it's probably some concerned neighbors, but we're just going to have to try and ignore that together. Anyway, this movie, I'm not going to be able to ignore that. Anyway, yeah, this movie, directed by Dan Attias, produced by Dino De Laurentiis, who is a big name in some classic horror, if you're a big film buff. Anyway, so the movie starts off. We're in some idyllic little, looks to me like Midwestern town, little heartland of America kind of feel, but knowing Stephen King, it's probably somewhere in New England. It's a dark, foggy, stormy night. It's not stormy. It's a dark, foggy night, and this railroad worker is out on the tracks doing something or other, and he hears a weird noise. Something catches his eye out in the bushes. So he gets out and he's inspecting the tracks, and he looks up. Ah! Whoa! There's a werewolf! Probably gonna kill me. Sure enough, kills him, rips his head off. Within the first 2 minutes of this film, excellent decapitation scene. I'm starting to notice a trend here with these Halloween videos. I like seeing people's heads get cut off in movies. It's fun.
Because it's so much fun, Jan. Get it?
So the small town is immediately rocked by this news. They find this body mangled in a weird way, but everybody assumes this guy probably just got drunk and fell asleep on the tracks and got run over by the train, which does not make sense to me. And this kind of bugged me about this scene initially. His little rail cart thing, it rides on the train tracks that he's inspecting, and it was parked like 100 feet away from where his body was found. If a train had come through there and rolled his head off, that wouldn't be there, and that would have been destroyed. The train would have taken out his little car and completely. It wouldn't still be there. And to have gotten to him and then knocked his head off, unless maybe they thought his own little car cut his head off, which I could understand that. But that wouldn't make sense either, because anyway, that doesn't really matter. The town doesn't really think much of it, just a freak accident. So a few nights go by, and we meet Marty. He's this kid in a wheelchair that's actually a pretty sick, like, homemade, gas-powered motorized wheelchair, and it's called the Silver Bullet. And he's hanging out with his friend. They're playing a prank on his sister, Jane. They're up in this tree, and they have this little snake, and they throw it at her. She freaks out. She feels all betrayed by Marty, and he starts feeling really bad about it, and his buddy's like, quit being such a pussy. Hold on, am I even recording? This is a shit show. I'm not super familiar with this movie enough to do like a scene-by-scene breakdown, and I definitely did not prepare for this like I did the last year's. I kind of just wanted to make this video because the movie really impressed me at how well the performances held up. Honestly, I can't even remember if this movie had a theatrical release. It feels kind of like one of those almost straight-to-video movies, or maybe a limited release kind of thing. This movie it does werewolves so well. It's not like your typical original style classic like American Werewolf in London.
Hi, David. Put that down.
Kind of werewolf movie. It's not really about the lore of werewolves or how they come to be or where they come from or how it even began in the first place.
Why don't you guys tell me how this guy became a werewolf?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know either.
It's just a straight up good sort of mystery horror thriller about this small town that has horrible shit happen to it. And that's really the ideal werewolf movie. Instead of playing it up like, oh, there's some kind of monster, almost immediately the kid's like, it's probably a werewolf.
Yeah. What if it's some kind of monster?
You know, like a werewolf or something.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, this sounds awful lot like werewolf to me. I'm gonna go hunt a werewolf. So ultimately, that's kind of what he does. The kid and his sister, they have a little bit of a rocky relationship.
I didn't mean to.
Oh, no! You never mean to! I hate you, you bugger!
They bicker, but there's clear love there. He feels really bad about pranking her. They have a nice little scene in her bedroom where he comes in to give her some money to like pay for the clothes that him and his friend ruined when they pulled that prank on her. We get a little bit of family drama. We hear about his uncle, Red, who apparently is having trouble with significant others. He's having lady issues. Relatable, am I right, fellas? Ooh. Anyway, yeah, his uncle Red, played by Gary Busey. Brilliant performance from Gary Busey. Brilliant performances across the board, and not a single character or performer is failing to show up. You know what I mean? Everyone is putting it all out there for the sake of this little werewolf horror movie. So we meet Marty's Uncle Red. He seems like a cool guy. Bit of a drinking problem. Cheers. But besides that, he's a really cool guy. You can see that he really cares for Marty. Skip ahead. He's built Marty this really cool, souped-up motorcycle wheelchair thing, and it's called the Silver Bullet as well, named after his original wheelchair. But it's like this, it's this super awesome, ridiculous, like three-wheel motorcycle that just has a wheelchair seat built into it. Anyway, Marty's taking it up and down the road. He's having a great time. And before Red leaves, he hands him this bag of fireworks. And he's like, you know what? 4th of July comes once a year, but for you, we're making it come again in September.
Mango Terry? Put it in reverse, Terry! Put it in reverse! Oh, Lord, Jesus!
Right, so the movie's set in September, very Halloween-y. It's not centered around Halloween or anything like that, but we got the fall time of year. We've got spooky, dark, foggy nights. Hey, you know, I like what I like. Forget what happens next. Who's killed next? Man, I really should have watched this movie more than once if I was going to talk about it.
You don't say.
One scene I wanted to talk about in particular, do a little breakdown. I can't really talk about it without spoiling it, so I guess I'm going to spoil it. Minor spoilers for this scene. Marty's best friend, I forget the kid's name, the character's name.
Shut up, Brady.
The werewolf ends up tearing him apart. And the scene where his dad finds him, his dad shows up to the crime scene because his son's missing, and they have this report of a body found at the park his kid was last playing at. When he finds his son's body, being a father now, the way the actor portrays that level of just unfathomable grief and pain and hatred and anger, just that mix of all those emotions you must feel when something like that happens and you see something like that. It was kind of heart-stopping in a way. This isn't like a sad movie, and I'm a very emotional movie watcher. If they play the right music cues, I'll cry. Dude, I don't care. I have feelings. Fuck me, dude. But usually, to get the cheap emotional connection, you play a specific music cue, or you show beautiful scenery and have everything slow down and the warm light washes over everyone. And you get Arthur Morgan riding through the woods listening to all the memories that he has of all these people whose lives he's touched and all these positive impacts he's had on everybody, which is great and that works. That does get an emotional reaction out of me, but that's pretty manipulative, right? Like that, you can do that with anything. I cry in episodes of Bluey just because of the music that they play. But this scene, it really got to me without any of that. Just the actor's performance. Everything in his voice, in his inflection, his body language. Going from that to the next scene where all these other characters are meeting up in the bar and they're trying to figure out what to do about this thing. They think it's just some serial killer. They think it's just some guy who's out there ripping up people and cutting heads off and tearing kids apart. They basically form this lynch mob. And the cop shows up to break it up, and he's like, you know this. Yeah, I think he actually even says those words. You're like one step away from becoming a lynch mob.
And private justice is about a step and a half away from lynch mobs and hang ropes.
And the dad isn't, it's kind of corny. He's just standing in the back of the bar by himself, with his arms crossed, watching all these people go crazy over trying to find this killer. And he finally pipes up and steps in. And The monologue that he gives about finding his son and what he's willing to do to enact justice or vengeance or whatever he wants to get out of this. Both of those scenes back to back, him finding his son and then delivering that dialogue, they both just really got to me. And me and my wife both looked at each other and were like, this movie's not pulling any punches. This movie's not fucking around. Anyway, all the performances across the board are like that. Even Gary Busey.
Hey! Hey, Red.
I haven't seen a lot of movies with Gary Busey in it. He's just kind of this meme guy now.
Make the sound of a goose, you'll feel like you're flying.
I know that he had like an accident and there's something wrong in his brain, and that sucks and is tragic, but I haven't seen a lot of his earlier work, so to see him come out with his acting chops on full display here was really cool. And everybody else in this movie does a wonderful job. Ultimately, I don't want to break down the sequence of events in this movie bit by bit. I feel like that detracts from the experience of watching it if you haven't seen it yet. So I really just want to recommend it highly, very highly recommend this movie. Totally took me by surprise, and I had seen it before, but I didn't remember much about it. I was really young when I saw it last, and me and my wife were just looking for something to watch for Halloween, and I remember really liking it, and was like, yeah, let's watch that, let's give it a shot. And I'm really glad I did. It's a great little film. This movie is extremely efficient with its storytelling. The story is fairly cut and dry. If you know Stephen King's writing style, you can probably assume what happens. Idyllic little New England town is ravaged by some mysterious evil, and we watch the townsfolk slowly devolve into violence and fear and Stephen King 101, right? When it's applied to a classic kind of horror icon like the werewolf or vampires with Salem's Lot, he always manages to do something really interesting with the character writing, and he's just so good at writing people and how they interact in their interpersonal relationships and how they handle certain situations. And the actors in this film capture that realism, that authenticity that Stephen King manages to infuse every single character with. It's just a really well executed, sort of cheesy, fun Halloween werewolf movie. It's got a lot more heart than you expect. This movie definitely does not overstay its welcome. Tells its story, it gets in and it gets out. Perfect little package of a Halloween werewolf movie. So if you're tired of watching Dog Soldiers and American Werewolf in London or Ginger Snaps or what's another werewolf movie? Twilight? I don't know. Nobody fucking watches Twilight at Halloween. Come on. I can't even really think of another really good werewolf movie. There's not a whole lot to choose from. And this one just was a little blip on my radar. I was aware of it. I'd seen it a long time ago, and I just rewatched it recently, and I was really surprised at how good it was. I think it's going to be a Halloween staple for me and my family. I just wanted to make this video to tell you it's a good movie. You might have seen it recommended to you. You can find it. I think it's on Paramount now. But it's a really fun, awesome, well-executed, beautifully acted movie. Very classic Stephen King kind of story. If you're into that, you'll love it. If you like werewolves, you'll love it. If you're just looking for a new watch on Halloween, I can't recommend it highly enough. And that's basically going to be it for the movie recommendation this year.
Thank you, Joe.
I wanted to take a minute here at the end of the video to say thank you to all of you that have subscribed and commented and supported me over the last year. I'm sure most of you found me through my Grand Theft Auto video, and I do want to do more stuff like that, more in-depth retrospectives and reviews of games and things, because I do love video games, but I also feel that same passion about filmmaking and movies, but I don't know, you invest so much more time with a video game, so those kinds of videos will be a bit longer and a bit more in-depth. And movies, it's so different. For every kind of movie you could watch speaks to everybody so differently, and you can get so many different things out of it. So I just like talking about the movies that I like. I don't really want to do movie reviews. I don't want to have to be negative about films to get attention on the video. I just want to share things that I want people to see. I want to expose more people to more good things, and hopefully you guys, you seem to get that. Like, you seem to appreciate what I've been doing, and I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate you for sticking around and watching the videos that I put up and getting excited about them. To see such a positive reaction to everything that I've been putting out has been really cool, and I really appreciate that. Ultimately, I would like to be a bit more consistent. I want to be able to put more stuff out there because I really like doing this. It takes a lot of time, especially doing it by myself. And that's what I'm getting at. I have to shoot and edit and come up with and schedule and do everything by myself. And I have 3 other jobs plus YouTube, so it's just a lot of work. I don't know. Well, my projector died a long time ago, apparently. So I guess that's my cue. If you've seen Silver Bullet, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you haven't heard about it, check it out. It's really good. It's a really, really good werewolf movie. And what's wrong with that? So anyway, long story short, before I forget what I'm talking about again or get too sappy or too lost, thanks for watching. And I hope you stick around for the next year. We'll see what happens.